Welcome back to the Sanity project. Today our efforts are being put into changing the Bailey channel in the windows all round. For those of you that don't know, the Bailey channel is this rubber section that generally soft flocked in the later model cars, anything in the 80s or above. Now you'll notice on this section it's not uncommon for the Bailey channel to slide down a little bit. Now on this side I tried to slide that back up and it just snapped off. Now I've just removed the Bailey channel from the rear window. So you can see that's just an empty cavity. This is the remnants of how it came out. Now it should be a soft, supple rubber, but after 38 years, this is what we're left with. So I purchased my new Bailey channel from Better Auto Rubber in Nerang on the Gold Coast. So Bailey channel for all four doors, and these ones apply to VL back to VB Commodore, so that early range. $140 for all four doors. The guys down there are pretty friendly and very helpful. So here we have a comparison between the old channel, which you can see the old flocking there. Now that just shatters into smaller pieces. Now this is how it should look. Obviously the flocking's much nicer, that's to be expected, but we can now squeeze, twist, bend, that's how it should be. Alright, so I've just discovered there is actually two different types of channel included in these kits. I couldn't tell the difference on the car because they just came out in pieces. So we have the wide channel, which presumably goes across the top edge and the front edge of the rear door. Then we have a smaller, thinner channel, and that's going to go into the back edge, the trailing vertical edge, all the way along, because that's got that divider between the quarter glass and the main window. Alright, so in order to get these to miter into the corners, I'm going to have to chop just a little bit off each corner. I've got the medical scissors here in the hope that they'll do a better job. I've got a few pairs. Let's see how we go. No, they're no good. They're not for cutting skin, but apparently no good for rubber. Alright, so if we cut that off at 45, make that a little neater. I might even try, because I'm winging it just like anyone else, I might even try to use a straight rule and a Stanley blade. See if that does a neater job of it. Yeah, I feel like I might have to go back a little further and use the Stanley blade. So that looks a little bit better. We then fold that. That's going to sit like that in the channel. So with our Bailey channel in hand, I'm just going to test fit this and see how that sits into that dividing channel. And quite frankly, that sits really, really neat. So I'll get inside the door and see if I can't slide it down and start from the bottom up. Where do we need to be? Alright, so now that I've got the bulk of it there, fit the top in. push that all the way in. You'll notice that I'm trying to avoid using tools. These fingers have got a better feel to them, but they also are less likely to damage things. Now, I'm lucky this vehicle's actually, I've just discovered, we've got full rust proofing through this vehicle. That would have been done back in 1984. So I'm pretty impressed with that. The amount of rust in this car is very, very little. Now that back edge, I can't quite get to the front edge of that channel from where I sit. I'm going to put the window up. That buys me some space under here. I can make sure that that's pushed in correctly. Now this particular kit leaves me with about 6 inches of extra length, which is nice. Last thing I would want is to have too little channel. Now, I have heard of some of the kits from other suppliers getting a little bit stingy on the volume that they give you. So far so good. The Better Auto Rubber kits for VB to VL Commodore seem to come with plenty. Now this is the challenging part, because now I've got to trim this to 45, miter that to there, but then I need to make that just the right length. If I get this one wrong, I'm stuffed. So, here we go. Alright, so I've mitered that one corner. Now just running this across that top edge, just feeding it in with my thumb. Now if I look at the rough guideline, this goes all the way to the bottom of the door, but the track does not. So again, I've been given ample rubber to do this job. Now in order to get the correct length, which is going to be the challenging part, I've fed that all the way on the top, and now I'm going to pull the center section out and pull just a little bit and then feed that back in. So the idea is that you end up with a little bit of a bubble, if you like, and that's going to push that trailing edge in toward the other seal, which it has done. Not quite enough, but it has done. So the principle seems to be working. So again, I'll just pull a little bit of a loop in there, pull that way, and then start to feed that in. I might have gone too far, who knows? We shall find out. If there's a kink in it, I can always pull it back out the other way. And eventually the rubber will shrink again, but I'd like it to be pretty much on the money from the beginning. I think I might be a little bit long. As I pull from that side, that's looking pretty reasonable. However, I've just realised I shouldn't have cut that miter, because this is two separate seals. One seal going straight up, so by rights I didn't have to miter that edge either. Let's see how that looks from the outside. I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to chop this edge back to straight and see what we can come up with. So that error has cost me all of 8 to 10 millimeters of rubber, which I don't foresee is going to be a huge drama because we have been given ample. It seems I made the right choice with the supplier. Now, when pushed into that corner, that's not bad. I might need to just rebate that slightly. I feel like that might be a better wind seal. The last thing I want is to continue getting water in. When I was washing the car, water would come into that front edge of the window and just dribble down the inside. That's not what we want. That's the whole purpose of doing these, is to keep the water and preferably the air out. Coming down the motorway, we used to get this awful wind noise. Now, how to attack this next piece. I'm going to grab my trusty old Sharpie, try and locate an appropriate spot right at this. I'm just going to go a little long, because it's easier to remove some more than it is to add it back. Little time consuming, lots of back and forth, but hopefully the result is worth it. Well, let's give it another shot. I really need to get some air conditioning in this shed, because quite frankly, it's a little warm. For those of you that live in Queensland will know the humidity that we have to deal with. Whilst it might only be 32 degrees today, the humidity is just out of this world. So I could have been about 1.5 mils longer, but I think that might just be being fussy. So you can see that there's two different types of channel running through there, the upright and then the horizontal. So here I've mitered into that corner. Now this little section here, that'll get trimmed, but after. Let's see how the other piece sits in there. Just like you, I went searching online, and there is a couple of tutorials about this sort of stuff, and look, I don't know if I'm being any clearer than what they are, but they also say that you must remove the glass. Now, I can't speak for the front door as yet because I haven't done it, but this back door, it's unnecessary. And given the cable system that's going on here, and at a brief glance, I've not worked on Commodores, so look, I'm guessing. But the way I see this is working is you need to detach from that cable. Are you going to get it in the same spot? Probably not. You've then got to go through the pain and anguish of having to readjust that window. I've been there, done that in the past, and quite frankly, it's not a fun time. So I thought I'd give it a go with the window in. Now, if nothing else, the rear doors, they're going to get sorted without too much drama and without removing the windows. The front doors, well, time will tell, I suppose. Now, let's start. I feel like we're going to Coles. Down, down. Prices are down. Now what I'm coming up with, if we cut that square you end up with these funny little horns. They need to go. So now we're left with a square edge. Let's see if that works a little better. Yeah, that works much better. I'm actually going to remove that top one, just that end, and snip that bit off as well. So this is all part of that learning process that I speak about so often. Because these are things that I've not done before. So how am I supposed to know? We're learning together. Doesn't matter how we learn. Generally for me it's the hard way. Provided we learn. It's an expensive way to learn, fiddling it this way, but it's still cheaper than paying some other bastard to do it. I'm a huge fan of DIY. Everything that can be done by you, if you're into it, take that opportunity. Yeah, people have told me, you're nuts, what are you doing trying to paint a car in a garage? What are you doing trying to pull the motor out by yourself? But each and every time, I've managed to prove them wrong. So this small garage, which you can see the far wall, it's not far away. I've had an engine and gearbox out by myself, put it all back in after painting the bay. That's a clear over base 2-pack. Everyone says, oh no, acrylic is for amateurs. Quite frankly, I'm frightened of acrylic. It comes out like jam. You've got to spend so much time cutting and buffing. I'm just not a fan. And look, some people seem to love it and they reckon, oh yeah, for old school cars, that's all that should ever be painted on them. I disagree. I would rather have modern technology on this thing and the better UV resistance. And I like the 2-pack gets harder. Why is this not working? There's a problem here. I'm doing something wrong. Aha. So there is a little bit where the main window frame and then the window channel meet. There's a bit of a step. So that would explain why it really didn't want to go any further. So if I can feed this down, let's just feed this all the way down. I get a hold of it. Come this way. Alright, so now we're in the general vicinity. So, as I was saying, I had plenty of people tell me, no, you can't do it. You need a booth. You need a good gun. You've got to get a DeVille, this GDI Pro Light, or a bunch of all these other things. And I said to them, worst case, if I get this wrong, what have I lost? Material costs and a chunk of my time. Now, given that I enjoy doing this, as frustrating as it can be, the outlay and the risk is quite small. If I was paying someone to do all this, sure, it's easier. Sure, the result at times might be better. But can I then say, I built that car? Well, no, I can't. I can say I put it together. I can't say that I built it, because I didn't. Someone else built it for me. And that's what I'm not keen on. I don't want to pay someone else to build a car for me. That's not what I'm about. I would much prefer to do this the hard way, myself. And I know it's the hard way. I'm well aware of the fact that it's the hard way. You can rest assured of that. But, and I applaud those that have the funds to be able to get all of this stuff done in the workshop. Hell, I'd love to be the person getting paid for it. But on my wage, I'm saving up just to buy the bits, let alone pay some person to do the labour for me. And as we know, labour is the most expensive part of any build. This is getting pretty painful on my arm, I must admit. Oh, that feels better already. It's not even entirely in place. There's the problem. Don't you hate it when you're doing something and you end up spending half your time looking for that tool you just had? Alright, so to finish off, just a Phillips head screwdriver. I'm going to run that down the channel, leaning to each side, so carefully ensure that everything is in just the right spot. And you'll see it and you'll feel it if it is, or if it's not. So, that can come back down here. Line that back up nice and neat. Here's the moment of truth. Oops, so we're catching on something there. Just a little bit. So just at the very corner, the window wants to catch the seal. Right. We'll try again. It still wants to catch just a little bit. So, pull this vertical out. Oh. Check that horizontal one. See if we can't get that to. Aha. Right, so I think what might solve the problem is getting rid of, once again, getting rid of those little horns. There we go. Now the order in which you put these in, it's entirely possible that that will have some effect. Can't be sure. So Now again, pulling a loop into that. And then pushing in. Let's try again. That seems a bit better. Whoops. Haven't got the clip in there. Alright. Oh, that's absolutely lovely. Everything's sitting good. Job done. Both the driver's side doors done. That's one job off the list. Still got to do the other side, but they can wait for another day. We've got a car show to go to this afternoon, so have a great one.